Good evening. It is Thursday, March the 2nd, about 9:40 p.m. This is Shay Gibson with iKitesurf and Wind Alert bringing you a wind forecast for the Tampa Bay area. This one, once again, goes out to Aaron McLaren of Elite Water Sports, who's hosting the Big Air Classic this weekend. We're trying to find a good window of opportunity for him to throw this contest. So we'll look at a couple things. The two models in particular I really want to be watching for this is the GFS and the NAM 4-kilometer model. The GFS is a little more coarse resolution. The NAM 4 is higher resolution, which only gives us through Saturday, but at least we get one of the two weekend days. It's still a little bit early to look at the higher resolution one, but this is the Facebook page you're looking at right here for the Elite Big Air Classic. If you choose to go there, it's facebook.com/events, and then there's a series of numbers up here. Basically just type Elite Big Air Classic and you should be able to find it. So we wish everybody the best of luck in this. If it goes down, I'm sure it will at some point. We just got to get the right timing on it. So let's go ahead and take a look at the GFS model first of all, and this is initialized from right now for tonight. And we see high pressure that's sort of moving across the country. You have one lobe of high pressure up here across the northern tier. We have another one here across the Arkansas Valley. These are both going to combine in this area right about here to create the gradient for the area. Right now we're already seeing a little bit of a northerly gradient down into the Tampa Bay area for some moderate winds, about 13, 14 knots, somewhere in that vicinity along the open spots. And if we move this forward in time, we'll go ahead and start moving the map. We'll go to 12 hours. Whoops, let me go back down. And then as we go into tomorrow, the winds are going to start picking up tomorrow from the northeast, and that is because that high pressure is basically centralizing and heading up across the Ohio Valley towards the mid-Atlantic, and that's what's going to hold the gradient. Now things get a little bit tricky as we go into time, because when we get to 36 hours out, we're getting into Saturday about 1 o'clock in the morning, and then we see the high split. Now both of the models do this, and this could be problematic for the winds, because what you want is something that's a little bit further removed, something larger up in this area to keep the gradient strong. And when you get a separate lobe right here, this is almost a lobe of high pressure developing over South Carolina. The closer that is to the area, the worse it's going to be, or the less the wind speeds will be. You're generally looking at a gradient, stronger gradient between 1,020 millibars and about 1,028 millibars. So the keys in this area are really going to be seeing some strong winds, but the further up you get away from that towards this central area of high pressure at 1,038, this area right here could weaken. So it really depends on whether or not we get a separate lobe of high pressure that develops in the Carolinas or not. If not, then you end up with a ridging process that keeps the flow going all the way down. We don't have a split basically a split personality in the high pressure. If we look at the NAM 4-kilometer, this is the 2 meter wind, and we'll start at the hour 1, which is initialization, and we'll go on through in time. This is going into tomorrow afternoon right here, and you see the greens and the yellows down here are starting to kind of show the stronger gradient. And then when you get into Saturday, we see that separate lobe of high pressure develop over the southern Appalachian Mountains, and that sort of weakens that gradient. And then it sort of breaks up a little bit, and then Sunday it starts to pick back up again according to the higher resolution model. So it's really, really, really tricky. You still have this lobe right here that could develop. If not, then we get that entire ridging process that bites down into the old cold front and troughing area that keeps that gradient going. So that's really what is creating the wind speeds, is how much removed high pressure, central high pressure, bites down into the backside of a residual cold front or a dry cold front moving through the area. It's a very tricky situation. We'll go ahead and take a look at the area right now on iKitesurf, and we'll zoom in. You can already see 16 knots gusting 18 at Lansing, Tampa Bay, cut J. This is along an open area right here. We'll go down to Skyway Pier because that's going to be closer to where ground zero will be for the contest. And let's go into all details, and I'll blow up the screen, take a look at the models. This is one of the things that is great about iKitesurf, is that we have a full model suite, so it always helps to look at all these, not just what pops up on your phone or on your computer. The first screen that you see is not always a forecast. There's many layers to it. The quick look is simply a blend of several models, and now we're going to break it down into individual models. So if you look here, you see all the different models that are available there if you select all models. And then as we go forward, here we go into time now. You can see the gradient starting to tighten now, and these models are pretty much verifying in this realm. So it looks like the speeds are going to be on the up and up. As far as tomorrow morning, you're probably going to see some of the stronger speeds as that gradient really tightens down. Sometime when you wake up in the morning, we'll have sort of a north-northeast gradient biting down into the area. Now as we go into time, we see a lot of ups and downs with the model outputs, but this is for Friday. And as we go into Saturday, we see that the GFS in particular kind of holds a lower ground on this throughout pretty much the day, but the NAM 5 kilometer, this green one, really starts to ramp things up as the day goes on. It does read that that area of high pressure might be a little bit further removed to the north, and the gradient will flex. Now, the good thing about it is all of these models in particular really don't pick up the stronger gradient from these winds. So what you're seeing here is might be several knots less than what actually happens. So we could be looking at a situation with 18 to 22 knots pretty much all day Saturday, but there may be a few ups and downs if there is central high pressure to the north. There could be a few hiccups. So it looks like later in the day might actually pick up a little bit more. As we go into Sunday, we're going to follow this. Now, all the models are definitely in agreement with this east-northeast lean, which is good because lots of agreement means lots of consistency, and all you have to do is worry about the speeds at that point, but at least you know you got the direction right. That is good for increasing speeds overall. So as we go into Sunday, we see that the gradient actually turns more east. The directions turn more east as that high pressure wobbles off further to the north and to the east, and we get more of an east flow. Now, the models do build that gradient. We actually have the WW3, the GFS pops back up to near 20 knots, which that could translate up to about 25 knots Sunday morning. That is not for sure, but we could be looking at a really strong window of opportunity here Sunday morning if that east gradient tightens down once again. It is only Thursday night, and when you get into this kind of a situation with a tricky high pressure setup to the north, one thing you do know is that there's going to be wind. It's just going to be a matter of getting it to that point for a big air contest. So we go to Saturday, back up to Saturday again, and we look at 7 p.m., that's just around dark, or just after dark, but this little window right here, late in the afternoon Saturday, might actually be a pretty good time to have this contest. It's either that or Sunday morning. I think that sometime after 2 o'clock p.m., if it hasn't started already, these speeds may get well above 20 knots. I mean, you may be looking at 22 to 25 knots if that high remains a little bit further removed to the north. So it is kind of a tough call on the timing because you have these ups and downs going throughout the weekend. And you don't really know what to trust, and it really depends on what the high pressure does. So there's several factors also involved with it, which very complex to discuss. But the main thing is getting the timing down for the contest. And Aaron, I would say this, let's, you know, I know you got to make a call on it, and it's tough. If I had to pick any windows of time, it would be Saturday afternoon or even into Sunday morning. So there's a couple windows there, and the winds could pick up a little bit earlier Saturday in the morning. That might give some folks some time to get out and ride and get warmed up anyways. But we'll go ahead and take a look at the sea surface temperatures while we're here. Zoom into the area. Yesterday I had about 73, 74 degrees. It's 74.7, so it looks like the sea surface temperatures or water temperatures in the Tampa Bay area have gone up just a tad, so about 73. This one at Port Manatee is up to 75.7, so somewhere between 73 and 75 degrees for the water temperature. Now, the air temperature is going to be cooler, which is good because that's just a couple of degrees, but that could matter when you have a little bit of cooler air diving down over the warmer waters. Then you actually have a steeper gradient. So the cooler these air temperatures get, the better off the winds are going to be. So that has a little bit of significance right there, but you're looking at spring suit weather for sure, with low 70s to near 70 degrees and low to mid 70s for the water temperature. So that'll do it for this forecast. I wish you guys the best of luck. If I can get on tomorrow night and do another forecast, I will. I'm planning on doing that. I might be able to take a look tomorrow about midday and get a text out to you guys. Just hit me up in a PM on Facebook, give me a quick reminder, and I'll take a look over the area and see if things have changed. Maybe things will improve. I think there's going to be some decent wind. We just got to make sure you get the right window in the daytime to throw the contest. So until next time, I'll see you soon. Thanks for watching.